What's up, guys? Welcome back to Wesam's World. We are actually live on Instagram Live on our social media apps.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We have Britt, Britt Robertson. She's on and she's saying, hello, buddy. Hey,
Hello.
Britt. Good to see you. We have a few other people who have just joined. And fun fact, Britt and Jasmine are coming on the show in a few weeks.
Woo.
Yeah, for the premiere of For the People, which should be super, super exciting. That'll happen in a few weeks. I'm excited for today's guest. Real quick, before I start, guys, I have been drinking way too much caffeine lately. Been getting the jitters. Jitters? Insane times. I drink way too much green tea. I think I probably had 2 liters of green tea yesterday.
Oh, jeez. Damn.
Yeah, that's too much, right?
That's a lot of green tea.
That's a lot of green tea. Too much. Am I going to stop? No.
Oh.
I can't stop. I have too many things to do.
Won't stop.
I actually was super tired yesterday. I think that was probably it. Yeah.
You over-caffeinated.
I over-caffeinated.
It's like
that's true. I keep looking at this thing that's right in front of my face because I see my beautifully handsome face. It's the Instagram Live.
Yeah.
Is your mic working?
It is working.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You not hear me?
I do. But there was just the mic debacle earlier, and I was like, I don't know what's going on anymore. Our new studio is looking amazing. If you're on Instagram Live, check it out. Look at our new TV. You see myself picking my nose, and it's wonderful. The studio is almost done. It's almost soundproof. We have 2 more acrylic windows to put up, and I'll show the people watching at home what I'm talking about. There you go. Get a little peek. We have 2 more to put up, and then we done. We done, baby. We done in the new studio, and it's ready to rock and roll. And now, is it about 100 degrees in here? Absolutely, yes. Is it because Brett Davern put way too much foam on the entrance to the air vents? Yes. Is it his fault? Yes. Am I going to sue him? 100%. Am I going to win? Yes. I play a lawyer on TV. Anyway, our guest today is from the SHONDALAND family. She is the head of fiction and nonfiction at SHONDALAND. Her name is Alison Eakle. She's a great person, hilarious, super smart, super political. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Alison Eakle. Allison.
That's me.
Thank you for trudging into the valley.
Trudging, I suppose. It was really easy. There was no traffic. Saturday morning.
It's really nice.
Just me and the kids going to karate class. That's it. Smooth trip to the valley.
Our awesome new studios. We get to see really interesting folks run and walk by, I guess. There's a dance studio and a yoga studio, too. And I guess a karate studio, which I didn't know
Which
about.
Makes me think of one of my favorite shows of the year, which is Cobra Kai.
Oh.
Set very heavily in the valley. Picks up very much later where the Karate Kid leaves off.
Did you like it?
Oh, it's fantastic. It was on YouTube Red.
Oh, nice.
That's a free plug. It has nothing to do with that show. I'll just talk about it whenever I can. It's delightful.
Feel free to stay in the sweet spot of the microphone.
I love staying in the sweet spot. Can I move it toward? Ooh.
Oh yeah, this is the future here. You can do what you want.
I love it. So free.
You're so good at the table reads whenever you read some of the characters. Oh my goodness.
I was a child actor very briefly. Do you feel it?
I can't tell if it's a child actor, but it's a professional actor.
I was like a mildly unsuccessful child actor as a kid when I was like, I auditioned for some great stuff like Camp Nowhere.
Yeah.
Jefferson in Paris, some real hits of the 90s. Heat.
Oh.
Didn't really make the cut on them, but I got to do like a couple off-Broadway readings and stuff, and I loved it. My parents were smart. They were like, after a year and a half, they were like, come on, high school, let's go.
Yeah.
Just stay focused on this. If you want to act later, you can. And then things obviously took me in a different direction, but I love the fact that you guys are so encouraging and welcoming to let me read parts there.
Oh my gosh, you guys, your timing is impeccable. You know who else kind of annoys me with their timing?
Who?
Ben Shankman.
Oh my God! If you're,
Hey,
yes,
Ben.
he's in a different category than I am, very much so. But yes, he's insanely amazing.
Because we don't read the scripts till the day of, and
oh right, it's all happening there for you guys.
Yeah, and he reads. I'm like, did he get the script like before? Like, is he cheating the scripts? Is he cheating?
Yeah, it's impeccable. You're right.
It's great. And to talk a little bit about For the People, I mean, just really blessed and so lucky to have worked with such talented actors and artists.
I, on a daily basis, look at how that show has come together. And if you guys don't watch, you better. I can't imagine you're not watching. If you're watching this, come on. But every day I'm just like, this is magic, the way it's come together. Truly.
It really is.
Such a great group of people, and the caliber of everything from the writing to the performances to how things are coming together in post. I'm always just like, what a team. We're so lucky.
I was reading again your SHONDALAND article.
Oh, sure.
Can we pull that up real quick on the TV? This is my first time using the TV, by the way. And so
Wait, we can have our illustrations hang out together.
Oh,
You've made it when you're like, someone's done a sketch of you. Look,
that's amazing.
it's me with a lot of face shadows.
I like
That's
it.
me.
It's very artsy. It's very artsy.
My colleague Sarah Fisher, head of production
Yes.
at SHONDALAND, gave me the sweetest Christmas gift, which is she framed that for me for my office. Now I just look like a mega narcissist, but
That's
I am what I am.
No, it's okay. If it's a cartoon, it's okay, I feel like. I love, there's a few things we'll get to later on in the show, but you came from a screenwriting background, which is so interesting.
I've just really tried it all, haven't I? I did the child actor thing, and then when I was an undergrad at Georgetown University, I was there at the same time as all of these. Now that I think about it, what a strange and rare and awesome time to be there. But it was like Jonah Nolan was a senior when I was a freshman, and Mike Birbiglia was a couple years older. And Nick Kroll was a year older. John Mulaney was a couple years younger. My cohort was like Zalbat Monglich, Mike Cahill, Zal and Brett Marling co-created the OA, right?
Yeah.
We all had the same mentor at Georgetown, this professor, John Glavin, who got us so passionate about playwriting and screenwriting, not something you immediately go to Georgetown for, obviously, especially not in 1998. I thought I was going to just be the Tracy Flick, political lobbyist, run for office, whatever. And it really changed everything, being there at that time. And then I pursued screenwriting and went to graduate school for it.
That's amazing.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, it's such an odd way for things to turn out.
And then, how'd you get to Texas?
I really just, let me bring things way down. 9/11 happened my senior year of college. It was a real, being in DC too, my best friend was in New York, it was a real like, oh, is the world ending? Because it really feels like it's ending. Maybe what are we even doing?
Yeah.
And so I kind of put everything on pause. I put film school applications on pause. I just stuck around DC another year and taught SAT prep courses in like Baltimore and DC. And then I took that year off to like save some money, really do the applications, and I wound up getting into UT, which gave me a fellowship. And I kept thinking like the idea of going into debt, like serious crazy $100,000 debt for grad school for screenwriting, no offense screenwriting, you're amazing, really freaked me out. So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity, and when am I going to live in Austin, Texas again? So I went for it.
That's it seems like you've had this early pull towards politics and being involved in politics.
Yeah.
Do you know where that originates from?
No, and you know what's so weird is my dirtiest secret. I'm like a hardcore liberal now, but I was a Republican until I was like 18.
Okay.
And I grew up in New Jersey, and at a time where our governor was a real piece of crap, and he would just happen to be a Democrat, right? Like a lot of the Democrats locally in New Jersey were not doing things that service like our shoreline or public education, and a lot of them were, you could definitely throw some accusations of corruption their way. It is New Jersey. And so I fell kind of in love with Christine Todd Whitman, who was our female governor, had a real sharp, short haircut and just seemed like she had her shit together. And I wound up working for like a Republican state assemblyman the summer before my senior year of high school. And I remember I would answer some of his like letters from constituents in the newspaper he owned. It gets complicated. And I remember we had like files, like old manila file folders on issues. And it was like very clear to me that he was incredibly against like gay rights, gay marriage, all of that. And it did not sit well with me. And that was sort of the beginning of the end. Yeah. And I just continued to kind of move further and further left once I got to college.
Right. I have a question for you.
Hit me.
Can you still be considered conservative but still support gay marriage?
That's a great question.
Here's why I'm going to add on to it a little bit. I feel frustrated because I naturally want to respect everybody's worldview and opinion because I haven't lived it. It could be their truth, and I can have the same truth, but for certain things that could conflict just because we've lived different life circumstances.
That's very true.
I feel like we're missing a lot of respectable debate.
Yeah, the nuance.
Yeah, and be open to somebody else's point of view. Like, I feel like the last few debates I've watched, let's take the, I don't know, presidential elections.
Let's take them. Let's take them and throw them down a garbage chute.
Okay, here's a great example. I'll give a specific example. Ted Cruz, he's a senator, right? Yeah, Senator Ted Cruz.
Great facial hair. He's killing it. His mutton chops right now. Ooh, don't get on the Senate floor like that. It's too much for me.
He looked kind of old school, like he's from the 1899. The 1899. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 in my spare time. That's when that takes place.
Oh, we have to have a sidebar about that. I'm obsessed. Yeah, put that on the agenda. No, my husband does, but I play vicariously and got so emotionally involved. I have friends who basically were like, female friends who played the game.
Yeah.
Who shall not be named. But they were like, I think I've fallen in love with myself as Arthur Morgan. This is very weird and complicated. But I'm like, I get it. He's so compelling. She called him the Jordan Catalano of the Old West, which is very apt.
Oh, I don't even know.
Not the smartest character. You don't know My So-Called Life. I'm a little older. I think it was very
Yeah.
seminal for my generation.
That's
but-
right. I'm not shy to say anymore. I don't know who that is. So
Well, can I tell you who he is?
Please.
Jordan Catalano is like the guy who ruined my generation of women. Basically taught us how to be in love with assholes who can't read and sleep with your best friends. But it was played by Jared Leto on the show My So-Called Life, which only ran for a season, and ABC canceled it right before what I think was going to happen was that she was going to fall for like the good dude, the nerd next door, Brian Krakow. But instead, we all just immortalized Jordan. So that's the Arthur Morgan parallel to really bring it around. It's kind of not the smartest dude, very hot and very, tries to be wow, real time. There he is. He leans really well. He's always putting eye drops in because it hurts to look at the world. Come on. It's catnip for a 1994 14-year-old.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
90s.
Claire Danes.
Look at that part in the middle.
Look at the
So
choker.
90s.
Guys wore a lot of chokers, I guess. I don't remember that specifically, but Jordan Catalano, he played in a band that did like cover. Well, actually, it was ill-fated. Look, we have so much. Sorry, I got us way off. We were trying to talk about something great like nuance in politics. And I was like, let me dumb this way down. First, I'm going to bring it down 9/11. That's what I do in every podcast. Then I'm gonna dumb it down.
No, this is great. I love it. So retracing our steps.
Yes.
The Ted Cruz thing.
My favorite Red Dead Redemption character.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Ted Cruz, weirdly hot now, apparently.
Well, he's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ted Cruz was asked during an interview. He said, "Hey, how can you support Trump in this?" After he just said that you're a lion, Ted Cruz. He gave you that nickname. Then he said something about your father.
Yeah, that he killed Kennedy.
Yeah, that he killed Kennedy. He said
Your
all these
wife.
horrible things about your family, right?
Yeah.
In the 2016 election. How was that How did that transition to now you support him? Could you please? Right. And his immediate answer, it started off with, we could all say that the year 2016 was a little crazy. And I was like, I'm done. I am done. Dude.
Yeah, it's not no.
It's like the typical politician answer. I want somebody real. Like, you know what I mean? I want somebody stop doing this facade of this stereotype of the politician who's like really smooth talking but doesn't really answer the question, doesn't get to the core of it.
Right.
And so that's my frustration, you know what I mean? And I guess we were going back to the question of can you be conservative can you be conservative and still support like gay marriage?
Right. I mean, look, I feel like there used to be more of that sort of a la carte political alignment and kind of making decisions based on issues and loosely affiliating with a party but not being afraid to break. But there was always, I think when I was in college, the big thing to say in the late 90s was I'm fiscally conservative but socially liberal. And I think where the rubber hits the road on that is that yeah, that sounds great. But if you are Republican in the sense of like you don't want to pay a lot of taxes and you want things to be, pro big business and all of that, where does the money come from to support the important social, agenda? Things that need doing. So that's like one, I think, core problem with that. But yeah, I mean, I think for me it was more of a cumulative thing where that was the straw that broke the camel's back more than anything and made me realize like I find it really hard. Politics is so personal for me.
Yeah.
I found it hard to kind of align with a party that at that time was taking a very hard line on that issue. And granted, like, Dems were slow to come around on gay marriage too, but this was almost like we were dangerously close at this point in 1997 to like gay people shouldn't be allowed to adopt, which here we are back again in many states having those conversations. And I just felt like I got to put my foot down about something, right? I'm 17. I'm trying to figure out who the hell I am and what I stand for. But
I just don't like these weird cherry picking of morals. You know what I mean? That a
Right.
lot of people do.
oh, sure.
You know, you can, okay, you want to be pro-life, for
Perfect
instance?
example.
Okay, sure, awesome. What about the children whose families are literally fleeing?
Yep.
Because their life is so horrible that
Yeah.
they're willing to take a risk to die with them and their families and for a better life. And you don't see that as an issue? There's like this weird cherry picking that goes on and I'm not smart enough to know the solution. I'm just pointing out problems.
Clearly, no one is yet. I mean, it's not even about smart enough. It's like, I think we're all in a place where we're all so riled up from that crazy year, as Ted Cruz put it. But I think it's, yes, the divide is deepening. But I think once the Trump problem is dealt with, eradicated, in whatever way that kind of manifests, I think my prediction is there's going to be a settling in of, okay, how do we talk to each other again, right? How do you compromise? How can that not be such a foreign idea in politics?
Also for the fact that I feel like a lot of people in those kinds of positions forget that it's a service.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like they get certain benefits that I'm not a big fan of, like forever, especially like during the shutdown, they still got paid. A lot of the politicians, senators.
A lot of them, I think, were donating their pay to like
awesome.
food banks in their districts and things like that.
Excellent.
They were trying to do that. At least there were a couple vocal ones, and now I wish I could remember who.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, there is.
Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's like a red flag.
How do you feel the fear? Because that's what it all comes down to, right? Politics is fear, right?
Oh.
It's who's afraid of losing power, right? At any given point.
Oh,
It's like, what are you afraid of losing? That is how you will vote, right?
Yeah.
I think that if you are a legislator who does not feel fear of, like, that's why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has like lit everyone on fire, whether it's her opponents or her supporters. It's because like this is someone who knows what it is to like really not know if you're going to make rent, really not know how to kind of get by, try to take a huge leap when it's a very scary move to do.
Yeah.
And I think people respond to that because it's like, oh, she gets it. No matter what you think on the specifics of what she's saying, you at least relate to her, and you're like, that is somebody who understands what it is to be afraid of not knowing what's going to happen to you next month.
You know what's really funny? The kind of down-to-earth communication that she gives. I'm not saying it kind of parallels to the way Trump talked to the general conservative groups.
Right. It's you're not the only one who've made that comparison for real.
Oh, okay.
And it's a really valid point that again her detractors are trying to use as like a gotcha. I
wasn't using it as that. I'm talking specifically
it's just,
from
how do you directly talk to the voter, right? How do you directly talk to everyday Americans? And she is amazing. Don't come for her. She will destroy you on Twitter in a really clever, fantastic, knows the facts way.
Yeah.
And I think that's what differentiates her from Trump.
Absolutely.
But you're 100% right.
Because it's a kind of tactic. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Especially like, I feel like when I say tactic, it sounds like a malicious thing, but in fact, a tactic can be a positive and come from an earnest place as well.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm talking with people I like, I want to be completely earnest with them. If I'm like, I need help with this, or hey, could you do me a huge favor? Like I really need help. This is why, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
A few of the members of Congress to donate were actually John Delaney, who's apparently running for president, I guess, because who isn't?
Is he a Democrat?
He is.
Yeah.
Mia Love and Senator Cortez Masto from Nevada.
There you go.
Or Nevada, depending on.
That was some fast satisfaction, understanding. Thank you.
Michael's like the
we got Jordan Catalano up here. We got Michael with the congressman stats.
He's like the tech guy on the TV shows who's like, I'm pulling it up right now.
You mean the lady in the cat-eyed glasses with the blue hair? Yeah, she's always.
And here's an even more full list.
How does it look like a lot?
There's 100 of them. There
Well,
were
that's
100
great.
of them.
Okay, that makes me feel good that
Sure.
certain people feel like, okay, I can't take advantage of this situation. So
Right.
that makes me feel a little better.
And it even has the groups that they're donating towards
That's really
a lot
good.
of the time.
Now let's check it.
Wesam trusts no one.
Joe Manchin donating to West Virginia food banks.
Okay. I think that's the story I remember.
Maisie Hirono donating to Hawaiian food banks.
Love it.
Cool.
But
So yeah, so you just don't know where this pull towards politics has come from. It's always been
Oh
there.
yeah. Yeah, it is so weird that I was like growing up, everyone would be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd be like, an actress or a lawyer politician. And it's such a kind of two sides of the same coin in some ways, I suppose,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of acting involved in trial law and also in politics.
Yeah.
And I think to be an actor, you have to empathize. You would know better than I would, but you really have to be able to understand where other people are coming from. And I think that's the most effective tool as a politician, too.
Yeah, you got to empathize.
If you're going to do it right.
I think so too, you know.
Right? Like you have to be able, even to somebody that on the surface, I mean, that's right. That's the challenge is like, how do you play an actor or play a part that at its core has some fundamental things you just truly on a logical level do not understand? How do you kind of get into that process and get into those shoes and try to access something that in your day-to-day life you would not?
You know, it's funny you should say that. There's always a logical reasoning if it's well written. It's a choosing and a justifying of morality
Okay.
that comes into play.
Well put.
I think.
I defer to you on this. That absolutely makes sense.
Well, I think it also goes back to the writer, you know, and
Yeah.
you are a writer. I think so. That's part of who you are. You know.
Thank you.
You have a master's degree.
Just because I don't actively do it. I think that one thing that like most great writing gurus and people, you know, of that class will say is that the thing that makes you a writer is that you do it every day. So I do write things. They just happen to be development notes or carefully worded emails or things of that nature.
I think that counts. You do read a lot, right? You read a lot of scripts?
I read all day long.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
That's. I
I'm
still think that
immersed in
counts.
the world of writers, even if I am not actively creating and writing all the time.
We'll get into that too. I have a couple of questions. I'm very curious about your job.
My day to day.
Your day to day. No, we were talking about something. Empathy, writing. Oh gosh, this happens to me a lot nowadays.
I just like the kind of free association we have going on here, though.
Oh, I
No
love
wonder we got lost. We'd need a word map behind us to follow this.
Sometimes my brain branches out way too quickly, and I'll start conversations with people.
Yeah.
At like a far end, and they're like, "Hey, what are you talking about? You sound like a crazy person right now." I'm like, "Sorry, this is what happened. This was anyway."
I used to play a game when I could not fall asleep as a kid, where I would be like, "Okay, what am I thinking about right now? How did I get here? Where did I try to like track back to think
Yeah.
what the first thought that got me on that train was?" And it would always put me to sleep.
I've been trying to do this during my lucid dreaming, something similar to that.
You
where-
can lucid dream?
Yeah. Not a lot. I've been really trying to consciously do it. I've been trying to in the dream go, okay, what part of this was my first memory? Like, how did I get into this dream?
Oh, interesting. It's almost the same technique. I would love to be able to lucid dream, and it's not worked out for me so far.
Recently, the most awesome lucid dream I had, and it got kind of scary. I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. This is cool. All right, I want to fly. And I was trying to fly, and then I felt like this wind energy pick me up and take me to this dimension where it was like heaven.
Ooh.
It was like, I'm talking about, I saw colors in the dream.
Okay.
And it was this beautiful landscape. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. And then all of a sudden, the same wind gust takes me to this like really dark place. Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Maybe I don't want to lucid dream. I take it all back. I'll stick with my weird stress dreams that I never know how they play out.
I'm
Wake
so
up,
weird.
thank God.
Well, since you read a lot of scripts,
Yes.
I feel recently, and I'm not going to name the TV shows, but or one of them at least, but I read a lot of scripts as well as an actor. Luckily, I have good reps that send me stuff all the time.
Sure.
And at a certain point, I start immediately going, "Oh, this is gonna be good," or "Nah, this is gonna be."
You get that gut feeling right away.
From certain word usages.
It's a confidence. There's a confidence on the page. You can read when someone's got a good, healthy amount of swagger in their story. Your storytelling. It doesn't matter if it's on a page or if it's literally in a room like this, hanging out, telling a story. you know when you're in good hands. And it took me a long time to learn you don't sometimes have to finish a script. If you really feel like in the first 30 pages of a 1-hour drama that you are not connecting to any of the characters, you're having trouble following it. You couldn't write a log line if it were a gun to your head.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I have to finish it. Because at that point, imagine trying to sell that up a chain to somebody. Can you imagine me going and be like, Shonda, read the script I couldn't get past page 25 on? No. And so it is that same kind of, there is a gut thing at play there where you want to do your due diligence, but you also at some point just have to admit, something about this isn't for me, right?
Watching a Netflix show, I was like just flipping through and I saw a well-known actor
Okay.
who had a TV show, and I'll tell you on the break what it was.
I'll get to know.
Immediately, I was like, maybe 3 minutes in, I was like, this is bad writing. This is like really bad writing.
Okay.
And because it's so like predictable and overdone and cheesy at times. And then 5 to 10 minutes into it, I'm like, there is nothing redeemable about this main character.
Okay.
I literally like everybody else except him.
Okay.
There's nothing I like. I was like, I don't want to watch anymore.
You're out.
Everything, and I was like, I stopped watching. Picked another show. Have you seen You on Netflix?
No. I've read a lot of think pieces about it, but I've not seen it yet. I knew it moved from Lifetime to Netflix, and I know some people are conflating the new Ted Bundy documentary trailer that makes Ted Bundy seem hot. They are also, which I can't remember if he was hot or not. I haven't seen a photo of him in a million years.
Yeah.
They're conflating that with You in terms of like an argument that are we kind of fetishizing violence against women and like stalking of women and that? But I'm like, I'm so curious to see the show because so many people are like, it's great.
Okay, here's the thing.
Yes.
It's definitely the type of role, like it's dark. And so for me as the actor,
Oh my God, I'm sure.
I'm like, oh, this is very well written. This is like shot in a very different way. And what we were talking about earlier, logically thinking what's right and what's wrong. They write his choosing of morality so well, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't like you.
You feel uncomfortable.
I worked with the group of writers, kind of.
Oh,
no
yeah?
way.
Because I worked on The Magicians for like a month.
Sure, yeah.
And Sarah Gamble is the showrunner for that and You. And so she has offices on Paramount and she had offices on Raleigh where she does The Magicians. So they'd usually do like a joint like thing on Friday with like the You staff and the Magician staff for like a Friday like barbecue cookout type thing.
Oh, that's nice. Nice
Oh.
little bit of Hollywood life.
That's so cool. You shouldn't like him, but you like him.
I mean,
And-
yeah, I get it.
And all the immediate plot holes I was about to point out immediately explained in such a clever way that I was like, oh, well, this is, I shouldn't want to watch this, but I'm watching it.
Right.
And it's so like, it's one of those TV shows is great. I probably won't watch it because I want to play it too bad. And I will keep pointing out, oh, that was good. I wonder what he did there.
You're actually getting to a great point about the as like an executive at a company, what you're looking for when you read a script.
Yeah.
And I think having been an actor for a while, one thing I always think is, if I have the urge to play one of these roles, you are onto something special that you should really think about, like, do we make this? Not just, I like this, let's generally meet the writer, or can we staff them? You're like, wait, if I want to play this role, that means there's something real here. So that is totally an element.
I'd say just watch the pilot because structurally as a pilot,
You got it.
it's like you hit all the marks, like A+ on everything.
So you watched season 1, even though season 2 is when it moved to Netflix. Right now, it's like all there.
They're still working. They're still working on season 2.
Okay.
So yeah, they just got back into the writers' room. I think.
Okay, so it's just a season 1 that exists on Netflix.
Yes.
Okay,
and I
that's
just
great.
watched the first episode.
Deal.
It's streaming on there now. So like since they moved it, like I think they got the streaming rights anyway, but since now it's a Netflix show, they're just like, all right, promoting it.
Oh, I like it.
It's warm in here.
I mean,
a little bit.
I'm a lizard. I love when it's
Oh, cool. If
I
you're
lived in
comfortable, that's
Austin.
fine.
I live here now. I grew up in Jersey, but I'm like, my blood has thinned. I love it when it's like a toasty 73 degrees.
I'm always just more concerned for my guests because I really don't care.
Is it just
I
me,
get
or
it.
is it a lot colder this winter than it has been in a really long time?
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
I will
Sam,
disagree.
not
This
sold.
is because I go running in the mornings. And
yeah.
Oh yeah,
I have
early.
This time last year it was a lot colder. What? 3 more. Okay. When we come back from the break, I want to continue more on what you, when you're reading scripts, what really stands out as a good script and what really stands out as a bad script. I want to talk about some of the maybe best pitches you've ever received, or maybe some of the worst ones, and why they were bad, why they were good. Yeah, so that should be fun. We'll be right back. We're good. All right, go. All right,
We're back.
we're back.
We're back.
You actually ran your own TV station at
I tried to help run it. Georgetown University Television, closed circuit. I hosted a show that was a live Dawson's Creek recap show. So it would come on at 9 p.m. right after the credits rolled on those Creek kids. Yeah, and well, it was like part of a live call-in show called G Talk Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about real serious issues. And also made a sitcom with Mike Cahill, who was the director of like Another Earth, called The Wanderer, about like a hopelessly single dude that I got to like co-write and act in and stuff. It was really fun.
Your range is astounding.
Well, you haven't seen The Wanderer. Let's just... I have it on VHS somewhere. We did have a cool opening credit sequence set to the Rentals, The One I'm Looking For, which I don't know if you know the Rentals. They were a side project of Matt Sharp from Weezer.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was very proud of that though. But yes, and then later in like senior year, I came back from study abroad, and Britt Marling actually had taken over my like daily news show, The Daily Dose.
Yeah.
And I was just like running personnel, just kind of director of personnel for the station.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know, it was fun.
So, we talked about it a little bit, but whenever you're getting scripts, and and just to clarify, I saw two things, and please forgive me.
Yeah.
Are you the head of drama and comedy, or the head of fiction and nonfiction? Because I saw, and I was like, which one is it?
It's the question. I'm now head of fiction and nonfiction. But that is an evolution as the company has grown.
Copy.
When I did get promoted to the head of the department, it was at first called just head of comedy and drama, but now it's kind of grown to be a bit more inclusive.
Awesome. That's incredible. And congratulations.
I'm grateful for it.
SHONDALAND's amazing.
I can't complain.
I like
6
your
years.
office.
I've been there 6 years.
Wow.
I know.
That's kind of long for executive position.
Oh, it's
right?
the longest I've ever been anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of the state of New Jersey, which is I ran and I got 18 years there. But no, it's fantastic.
So yeah, for me, can you remember any of your best pitches, or at least like what makes a pitch really stand out from the rest?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like the thing. I won't get into specifics because if God forbid anyone listens, I don't want them to either feel like, why wasn't mine the best,
Of
or
course.
you know.
Yeah.
But I think the things that make a really compelling pitch, I think a lot of people think it's the showmanship of the writer, like presentational, and you've got like a PowerPoint, or you brought in the old home videos, and that can all help and be great. But even I have seen people sit there and read from a document and have been wildly compelled. And I think that the hallmark of a great pitch is when it's over, you can't stop talking about it. Both in the room with the writer, you just keep going. You want to tell stories that relate to it. You want to ask more questions of them. And then after they leave, later in the day, you'll just be like, God, that pitch, man, that is, can you imagine if that actually were the case, if that is how we were living on Earth? Or can you imagine that is every wedding I've been to. Like, that's a real hallmark of a great pitch, is just you can't stop thinking about it or talking about it or drawing relations to like what you've lived as an experience or could imagine living as an experience to the show.
That's incredible.
And I think the other trick to a pitch is to, and this is the hardest piece, and it was hard for me as a writer, is to not give so much detail right off the top that you have nothing left to talk about after. It's finding that sweet spot of like, what's the right amount of time to talk for before this becomes a conversation as opposed to me speaking at a couple of people.
Ooh.
So I think some of the less successful pitches I've been in are the ones where you're like, holy God, it's been 45 minutes and they are still talking. And it's not even like these people intended as like not letting you get a word in edgewise or talking over you. It's truly just they've prepared what they think they need to say as the full span of the show to make you understand it and want to produce it. And instead, it just goes on way too long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a pitch killer. Another pitch killer is when you speak in tropes. I think so. There's definitely, the old shorthand of just like, it's this meets that, right? It's Brady Bunch meets Die Hard. I don't know why that came to mind, but don't you just see it?
I want to see that.
So that can be really fun and useful sometimes, especially at the end of a pitch when you've really kind of introduced the characters and set up the world. You're like, just to give you like a little tonal reference, it's kind of lives in the world of Zombieland, but also with like a tinge of Murder, She Wrote. I don't know. Right. I'm really pulling some shows out from the old days, but I think leaning too much on picture, this actress, this actor, imagine, and then like taglines for the movies or kind of like cliched experiences or story turns. Yes, there's a shorthand that your audience will immediately recognize, but it kind of takes away from like why you're the only person who can tell this story and why it's special that you're going to bring this world to life.
That's really incredible.
Those are my kind of general observations.
Those are great tips, I think, for any writer or show creator.
And I think one of the weirdest things comedy writers don't always realize is that comedy execs don't always laugh in pitches, but still could be finding what you're saying incredibly funny. And I think it's truly a matter of like you get laughed out or something. I think it's the more scripts you read or the more pitches you hear, it's just harder to get a laugh out loud from a reader or pitch sometimes. But some comedy execs will yuck it up with you and just be in it and dying laughing and not buy it. And then other comedy execs will be sitting there really thoughtfully because they're approaching it from a kind of their business brain of just like or creative brain of like, oh yeah, let me ask him about this later or whatever. And yet they'll really want to do it.
Yeah.
So don't get scared when you're sitting there in a pitching a comedy and the laughs aren't coming fast and steady. It could just be that person.
It's like an audition. If you literally describe auditions.
Right?
Yeah. And
that's got to be hard. Oh my god. Well, no, they're both so performative. Yeah. It's equally weird to like feel like your words are falling on a blank expression.
It's so funny. Sometimes I feel like I want to do so much in an audition to show them my range, and it's like I thought to myself like, well, do this very well first, like what the scene calls for,
right? And
then if there's another scene that calls for something else, great. But if maybe you can add a hint of it somewhere, but just do because I feel like what you're just explaining, like somebody who does like 45 minutes of talking.
Yes.
It's like too much. Even though it's good, it's way too much.
You've exhausted me. I truly have nothing left to ask you or say.
Yeah.
At that, yeah.
Focus on the work. I think that's always been a key to any type of success in most fields, That's the stuff you have control over.
Oh yeah, and like I think, do you ever practice an audition with somebody like do you run lines with people before you go in? Or do you?
Depends.
Okay. I do encourage writers, especially if pitching is newer or foreign to you, to bring in like a kind but honest friend, sit them down and say, will you listen to this for 30 minutes? Tell me what you don't understand.
Yeah.
Tell me where you get bored out of your mind. And it's a really helpful dry run.
Absolutely. I like saying this. I read it from a book called Lying. And it would you like some honest feedback? Because I sometimes just sit there, like if like a friend is asking me to run lines with them.
Sure.
And I just sit quiet, or like, hey, can you help me with this self-tape? Great, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And then they're done reading and they're looking at me and I'm like, what's up? Like, and they're like, oh, I was just seeing if you had any. I'm like, okay, cool. Would you like some honest feedback then? Like,
that's good.
Like, I leave it in their court because it's their thing. I give them the control of that. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's something I've had to learn. A lot of what I do in my day-to-day, my job is just say no to things, right? Is pass. You pass on things. We live in a world, where instead of saying, I don't want to buy this, or I'm going to pass. Yeah. It's this like kinder Hollywood version of it. But what I used to do is I used to feel like I had to justify why I was passing in a detailed way to like the agent or manager. And sometimes when it's your client's work and they worked really hard on it, it's just not for this person who's calling you to pass. You don't need to hear it all. And sometimes you want to hear it all. So now that's really something with time and maturity in this job I've learned. It's like I can take my cue from the rep. If I just call and say, hey, it's not for us, but thank you so much for sending it. And they're like, hey, anything you want to share? I'll pick my moment to be like, you know what, I had a hard time emotionally accessing it. Or, you know what, for something that's based on his real life, I didn't feel like it was. Like, I'll try to kind of give some kind of constructive feedback that might help them, but only if they ask.
Only if they ask. That's cool.
I had to learn it the hard way. I feel like I was just too much of a little goody two-shoes. It's like, I really read it, let me prove it by giving you a note.
Yeah. There's always that, I
it's hard, but you're right. It's like, okay, do you want honest feedback?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, I have this rule. If somebody early on, especially because I realized a lot of people were like, "There's like, I have this great script idea," and blah blah blah. I'm like, "Cool, I'll be like, I don't care. Just send it to me when it's done," because like, there's so many people who have never finished it, and so I'm like, I don't mean to be mean, but I can't care because it doesn't exist.
Let me tell you my waking existential nightmare. You're so smart. Being in this business, you have a lot of friends who are like, "Hey, can I share this with you?"
Yeah.
And the classic thing is, I'll get it, and I'll be honest. I'll be like, "Yeah, it might take me a few weeks to get to it. I'm so slammed right now at work," and they're always cool about it. They're like, "That's great, that's great." And then finally, maybe 4 weeks later, I finally read it.
Yeah.
And I email the person. I'm like, "Hey, I've got thoughts. Do you want to like get on the phone? Do you want to meet up?" And then they'll be like, "Actually, I did a ton of revisions. Why don't I send you the new draft?" And then I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. So now I've started asking, like, is this done? If it takes a month, would you have a revision? Just trying to kind of get ahead of it. Because it's a lot.
That's smart.
There was a really mean in tone but honest article years ago called "I Will Not Read Your Fucking Script." And it was a screenwriter in Hollywood. It was like 2003 or something. And it was just like, or no, 2006 even later. But like, it was definitely to the tone of like, you don't understand what I'm up against in my own day to day. Like, I can't read. And I thought that was so mean. There's nothing meaner. I'm like, no, there is. They're saying yes, you'll read it, and then never fucking doing it. That's the mean thing.
Having been on the other side of that, where it's like, where it's I have done that, where it's like constantly revising something before sending it out and sending it out to the same person. And, you know, it's experience and like learning not to send it out until it is ready. Or if you have that friend who is willing to read like an early draft, then send it to them, but don't send it to anyone until like that's a lesson that I definitely had to learn the hard way.
Look at all of us learning lessons the hard way.
Except Peyton.
Hollywood.
Peyton's been here for 6 months.
Peyton's learned nothing.
I'm the new one.
You had a great little answer, which I wanted to expand upon and maybe add a footnote, and maybe you agree and maybe you don't. You disagree.
Okay.
It was in your SHONDALAND article. Is that the right word? Article?
Yeah, a little interview.
Yeah.
Q&A.
Yeah, Q&A. What is the best and worst career advice you received? Best advice: pursue your next job based on what you'd like to learn. Worst advice: if you're still an assistant past age 30, that doesn't bode well. We're all on different timelines in this insane business, and that's just fine. Mm-hmm. I understand the last part, and then questions come up. It's like, does that person who has been, let's say, stuck in the same job for 30 years, do they want to move ahead? That's also, or do they want to do something different? Well, to me,
sometimes that's different. That's like a career assistant,
which
I find those are some of the hardest jobs to find the right people for in this business, and some of the most necessary. There are the huge show creators, movie directors out there who just want someone who's in it for the long haul with them, who's very happy to be paid very well and treated very well, to be their right-hand assistant for 10 years, 20 years. And that is a very different category. What I meant more was like, if you know you are on the path to becoming a writer or an executive or a producer, like, don't let yourself get freaked out by like how long you're on a desk, if you're still learning things, if you're still feeling like there's forward movement. And surely don't get up in your head about age. I mean, I got my first like junior exec job when I was 30, but I was also still answering the phones and scheduling my boss's meetings and everything. And that lasted for 2 years. But I got to be in meetings, I got to contribute meaningfully creatively, and I learned a ton. So I was answering phones well into age 32. And I'll never forget going to coffee with another assistant at the job before that, when I was still like 29, 30. I guess I was 30. And he, not knowing how old I was, said, he was probably 27. He's like, I gotta get promoted. I gotta become a creative exec. And this is in features. And he's like, if I'm still an assistant at 30, kill me. And I just wanted to be like, oh, I will kill you. Right here at Earth Cafe. I'll murder you at Earth Cafe. No one will arrest me. I'll just tell them what you said. So that always stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, don't get down here. People come out here after a career as a lawyer at age 31 and start in the CIA mailroom. And then in 4 years, they're a power agent. Like, who knows, right? It's a weird business.
I work at ICM, so I got a lot of friends that like they were in like finance and then they came out here and now they're assistants and they're moving up. And I mean, I'm 30 and I'm still in the mailroom, but that's a choice.
But yeah, like if you are wanting to be a producer and you're like year 6 on this movie executive's desk and I know I'll never move up, you got to put your big boy pants on and be like, I just got to leave and go find something else.
Exactly.
But that's different than being like, shit, I'm 30.
No, I'm so glad you expanded upon that because I totally agree with you. You know, that's you phrased that very well. We're all on our own journeys and different circumstances as well. You know, I know this is a common thing I tell actors, like, don't ever compare yourself to even people who are in quote unquote your same category.
Yes.
The way you look, because it's just different, man.
Wasn't Joe Pesci like 40 when he really broke through?
Alan Rickman was 50, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's everyone's, especially for women in the business. I'm like, you got enough biological imperatives to deal with in terms of the world and life and things that you feel pressure about in Hollywood. Take this off your plate.
Can't all be Donald Glover and writing it on 30 Rock at what, 22?
22, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just great.
What
The
happened?
third page just didn't print out. That's fine. We'll deal with that.
I can vamp about Jordan Catalano a little longer. Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, yeah. So Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that,
Yeah, subscribe.
guys. It's too real.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't want to give spoilers for people because I don't know where they are in the game
Please
of the
don't.
world. No.
I'm a quarter of the way
But
through. I
there
think.
were existential crises for me just watching my husband play it. I would check in. I'd come in from the other room. I'd be reading a script. And I'd come in and I'd be like, how's Arthur doing? What's the story? Like, I would ask, like, this is the craziest piece. I don't think this is giving anything away because guess what? This is a gang of bank robbers.
Yep.
They rob banks. And in one of the worlds, they rob a bank that is modeled on the old New Orleans bank I got married in October. Like, to a T. My husband paused the game and was like, you need to see this. This is insane. The place I got married is called Latrobe's. It was designed by the gentleman who designed like the White House and the Capitol and stuff. Back in the day, oldest Louisiana State Bank. Whoa. And they like perfectly, that's what's so eerie is much like with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, right? Where you're like, this is so close to LA. It's like strange nostalgia.
I love how you know that.
Yeah, well, again, from watching my husband play, I'm such a lame-o lady, but I'm like, I have no desire to play these games. I love watching them as narrative experiences. But Red Dead Redemption's like also drives into some very dark parts of the American experience.
Oh, yeah.
And like, really, I just love the idea that you can also like play the narrative, but then also go have other kind of discrete experiences.
I like the morality choice that a couple of the video games I've played recently have given to me.
Yeah.
In terms of you could play this game
50
different ways and have 50 different experiences. Assassin's Creed Odyssey does that. There's like 7 or 8 different endings.
Oh, wow.
And within that you can have so many different like twists and turns. I mean the chances you end up playing like it's insane. And a choice you make early on in the game affects everything else.
Have you played the Black Mirror Bandersnatch
Yes.
Choose Your Own Adventure on Netflix?
No, I heard about it.
It's interesting. It's a really ambitious project. It's that thing everyone talked about when I was in film school in like 2003. It's like, oh, can you imagine one day we'll have Choose Your Own Adventure movie? But I think it's funny because I'm like, that's the one example of it in TV, or in features. But this is why people spend so much money on video games like this, and they make so much money because there's no other experience like these things.
I just got the Resident Evil 2 remake that I've been waiting about 17 years for.
Oh, nice.
So detailed, so amazing.
17 years. Like, wrap your brain around that. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 is 10 years, right? This is a 17-year wait, and people are just so...
Well, that's more like, it's actually been 21 years since, like, the original Resident Evil 2 came out.
Okay.
Because... And they remade the first game, which came out in 96 and 2002.
Okay.
So I've been kind of waiting for them to do the second remake, and it's just taken this long, and it's been worth the wait. It's frightening.
I love Fallout. I loved watching that and listening to all the 50s music.
There's a wonderfully eerie game. Eerie not as in scary, just as in the entire vibe to it. It's Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Silent Hill or something.
Until Dawn, even.
Yeah.
That's a like choose your own adventure, like butterfly effect type game.
Oh, okay, cool.
Where like you can decide like your decision in like the beginning of the game will determine who dies later.
Yep.
Yeah, this shadow. There's something amazing about, very specifically, Japanese video game makers that give you this very in-depth story and very weird. Like Shadow of the Colossus, you come in and you're carrying this the love of your life, a maiden of sorts.
Ooh.
Yeah, and your main character never speaks.
Of sorts. Yeah.
A maiden of sorts. I don't know. And then you fight in order to, like, you're trying to, I guess, revive her. That's what you're thinking is going to happen. You have to fight these giant things.
Oh, wow.
And there's this ominous voice throughout the entire story that's kind of leading you to these giant creatures. And the whole time they don't give you how to climb or anything. Like, there's no direction really. You kind of just find out, and you can fight any of the guys at any time.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's very open. It's one of the first, like, kind of open world. There's no, like, markers per se.
Sure. There's not one, like, main narrative.
But, like, that kind of experience,
Yeah.
I love, because it's the type of experiences I've had with certain TV shows or certain
Right.
movies, and they've had me reflect on my life. And I know that's the typical, like, I feel like that's a cheesy thing to say, but that's what I love most about acting. It's helped me really reflect on my own life and help reflect life to others of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Why I
Not
love.
cheesy.
I sometimes it feels like that because it's being said, and sometimes people are like, whatever, and it's like, no, but that really is what it is, and it's an incredible feeling and experience, and your life becomes better after it. Like the stories we tell in this upcoming season of For the People.
Oh my God. Just gut wrenching.
Episode 2. I'm not gonna say anything, but
Yeah.
I want to cry.
I'll sometimes tear up in reading parts of the table read, and it's because it's real. It's like hitting me on a very real gut level of. The show this upcoming season really does take some, not ripped from the headlines, but like very timely issues and explore them in a way that are so personal, and so like real and tangible.
I love the fact that they've had, on the other side of things, on the other spectrum, Jay deal with frustrating people.
Yeah.
Which I love.
That's a fun, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to play one of those frustrating people.
Oh yeah,
That was really fun. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. At Shondaland, how many projects are you guys doing right now?
We have like 9 that we've announced for Netflix, in addition to the 4 ABC shows that we're still very involved in. And then there are a few more percolating I'm really excited about, but can't talk about yet, unfortunately. But that hopefully will be announced soon, all of which are in different phases, all of which are in different kind of genres, forms, all of that. So it's been really fun this year to start to share with people what we're doing that kind of breaks the mold of what you think you know of us from ABC shows, but also has some of that Shondaland DNA in very real ways.
Yeah. Are there any types of stories that you haven't really touched upon and that you'd like to like kind of explore more?
I gotta say, I feel like our plate is so full of great stuff right now. I feel like so satisfied right now, I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so creatively satisfying. All the different projects in some way scratch an itch we've had for a long time. And that is sort of how we allow development to unfold, we just try to ask ourselves at the end of the day, instead of just being reactive to what comes in, which is we're lucky great stuff does come in, but also to think like, what's that show we can't believe what's the show I would watch? One of the shows that we're doing, I always joke, I'm like, this is the show I would just curl up hungover on a Sunday afternoon on the couch and binge watch for 4 hours. Like, I can't believe this doesn't exist. I'm so mad something like this doesn't exist. So it's nice to kind of like make stuff we'd want to watch, because in this world, it's such a crowded landscape right now. I get so overwhelmed about what to watch. I think the thing to like be your guiding light is like, what's the show you actually, in the midst of 500 shows, wish were on and doesn't exist?
And when you're watching actors portray some of these characters in some of the roles, what stands out to you sometimes as like an amazing actor thing to do to do? Like you're like, oh shoot, that's really good.
Oh man, that's a great question. You know what it is? I think it always comes down to like the line you didn't even realize was a joke until this person breathed that life into it, or conversely, the line you did not realize was as like emotionally destructive as it was until that person did it. I also think there's an amazing thing watching our actors take something on the page that could feel really like exact and very specific, and give it some total different nuance, right? To get like go way less is more, throw something away in a way that changes the line completely. Like that's the stuff that is that magic of just like you read a script 3 times in your head before you even get to the table read, and then somebody just surprises the hell out of you.
That's fun, what you described, finding a way to read a line that you didn't expect as an actor. Oh my gosh. It's like finding like a diamond.
I can imagine.
You're like, oh, that's what I want to do.
And it doesn't happen all the time. And so when it does happen, you're just like, oh my God, I never even pictured it in my head that way. Because I really do. When I read these scripts, I picture all of you guys, the people I know who are cast, or people in my mind who I'm picturing saying all the lines. And then when the surprise is like palpable.
Yeah. Your last question was, how did you learn to have confidence in yourself at work?
Right.
And this is something I spoke to someone recently, this confidence issue, which a lot of artistic people feel, and I'm sure
it's like the imposter syndrome thing too.
Yes. Yeah. Am I good enough? Mm-hmm. Am I just copying work that I've heard over and over again? Or what is it that separates me from somebody else? Am I even worth being where they're at right now?
Right.
This is like I visualized it in my head to kind of overcome it. It's this like nagging little demon, little voice that's like, just take a rest.
Is that the voice? Do the voice.
Just take a rest. That's what he sounds like now, because I've kicked him off the cliff thousands of times, and he's weakened over time.
Is that why you go hiking every morning?
That is. I have to kick this little demon off the cliff.
Rest. Yeah.
Just take a rest. It'll be fine.
That's what you're describing is like, I think what I think of there are sometimes people in the industry who show off online how many scripts they're reading and how their hustle and all the comedy shows they're going to, all the work they're doing. And that is the thing. So it's like twofold. It's the imposter syndrome, which is just this fully internalized thing of like, they're all going to find out I don't deserve to be here. They're all going to find out. I'm just a normal person doing a very exciting, intense job. They're all going to find out I'm an imposter. The other thing though is like, the hustle, right? Like everyone in Hollywood has you convinced that if you're not working all weekend, if you're not like always at the next lunch, always making that next connection, always answering that next email, you're going to fall behind. It's that to me is the demon saying rest, like give yourself some room to breathe and think. It's that it answers that part of it for me.
That's really
What is it to you when he's like, just rest? What does it mean to you?
It's laziness. It's because I know I have the time to do it.
Got it.
It's not like, I know whenever I need...
Demon to you, it feels like laziness, and to me, it's like a call to just calm down.
It might be two different things, too.
I like it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's two different things, because I know what's going to happen with me. I'm sometimes too smart for myself, and I'll do that thing where, like, I will find logical ways of not working out, or not doing what I need to be done right now. And I've fallen into that trap so many times. And then whenever I'm not doing anything, I'm like, got me. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting.
I'm like, I really wasn't that tired, was I?
Oh,
that's really interesting. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody's different. I'm just speaking, again, from my truth.
No, yeah.
I think why I speak on it, especially like the whole running in the mornings thing for me a lot, is because it's brought so much positivity and confidence.
I can tell.
Into my life and helped me with my anxiety, which...
Anxiety, man.
You know, we got 3 minutes? Or 2 minutes. Okay, cool. I'll just wrap this up real quick.
That's enough time to talk about the problem of anxiety. Come on.
Actually, you know what?
Knock that out.
No, we'll come back. We'll finish it up right after the break. A little hook? No, teaser?
Cliffhanger?
Cliffhanger. There you go. Thank you so much.
I'm a development exec.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back. Hey,
something happened.
Real quick before we continue our awesome talk about confidence, real quick. Also, Michael, is the sound levels okay? I think it's just the headphones. Does it sound okay to you?
Yeah, they sound fine.
Okay, great. I think there's a little scratch. I think it's the headphones. So, Allison, you have any plans after this?
I think we we owe it to our audience to say how this organically
Okay.
came up, which is just that I was continuing riffing on the break about this little demon who says rest, right? And to you, he's like the little like lazy demon. And to me, I think I spent all my 20s and 30s scheduling, and it's still an instinct I have, scheduling every day within an inch of its life and trying to pack it all in. And I think my lesson now is a little angel who says rest as opposed to a demon, right? It's somebody who's like, can you just friggin' not schedule 8 things on a Sunday? And my husband has been a great influence on this. My friends are just like, can you just leave some room for what might happen? And it's been an important lesson, but I'm still learning it, obviously, because after this podcast, I'm going to my friend's CATCIñERA. A CATCIñERA is what it's called, which was apparently somebody overheard one of us, I don't know who the mole is, talking about this party. And it was on Overheard LA on the Instagram post, unless there's another CATCIñERA happening.
Oh my gosh.
But so going to, Lily the cat's turning 15. That's a big deal in cat years, guys.
Wait.
This is...
Quinceañera is 15?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was 16.
Hispanic culture, it's 15.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's, instead of a sweet 16, you'll do a quinceañera.
Oh,
Yeah.
This
cool.
is for the cat. And then I'm going to go try to look at a house and then maybe go back to quinceañera, grab a beer with a longtime old friend.
Awesome.
I know. But I'm like, but then I'm like, don't set anything for the evening because I just know tomorrow's crazy too. It's that idea that your demon becomes my angel. At a certain point, it flips, and you're grateful for the moments you can. I have to learn to be a little more lazy.
With that being said,
Yes.
I think there is a dichotomy and a balance to everything in your life, and you got to
Yes.
find out what balance works best for you.
Yes. And it changes. I think at different stages of your life, it changes. When I was
Absolutely.
27 and like really filled with anxiety and nerves of like, will I ever make it in this town? You need that thing to kick you in and be like, you feeling anxious? Go do something about it.
Yeah.
And I think now my life is like, how do you carve out time for mindfulness and to just be present and let things unfold?
For me, 5 to 8:30, that's my time.
In the morning?
No, well, yeah, I mean, that is my time also in the morning. But like,
That's my time to be dead asleep. That's
but
what I
like
do.
no work. I like finishing all my work as quickly as possible for the day.
Sure.
So that way I can really unwind.
That's
and
great.
I'm at a nice place in my life where I feel like, but we're in 6th gear. We're doing everything good,
That's great.
Yeah. But who knows? It might, like you said, it might change, it might evolve.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's best, find something that like gets you that confidence, because there is that voice. Am I good enough? I will be completely frank. I don't think I've ever shared this with you. I think it was one of the first or second table reads. I'm sitting there at the For the People table read, and I'm like, oh man, I don't think I'm as good as any of these people. Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and then it was one of those moments like, why do I keep saying that to myself?
Right.
You made it. Like, you're already here. Now work. Like, just do your work.
Right.
Everybody's
I can't
rooting
even
for you.
imagine. Oh my God, on an acting level, I can't even imagine.
Dude, you know how many times it's a typical actor thing, like, oh, they didn't like that take.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't get a compliment after that take. It's the stupidest stuff in your mind that comes up
Sure.
and lives and festers there. That's why I have to constantly like, nope, you don't get a vote. You don't get to say anything.
Right.
Because it'll start festering for me.
Yeah.
I'd like to actually. Do you mind if I read your answer? Because
Sure.
it was so great.
Love it.
The question was, how did you learn to have confidence in yourself at work? And your answer was, I'd actually practice at getting confident when I was an assistant by reading a script or watching a cut trailer and writing it out just for myself. What I thought my notes would be to the creator. Then I'd play along at home by seeing if my boss gave the same notes, and if yes, more importantly, I'd watch how my boss give the feedback.
Yeah.
Once my thoughts and creative strategies started matching up with those of people I respected, I felt way more confident. And then you go on to answer, but from that's why I talk about Jocko Willink, author of Extreme Ownership with
Ding.
Leif Bab, and I bring him up almost every single podcast.
Okay.
He's a Navy SEAL,
Oh
and
my God.
and his book really helped me overcome that anxiety.
Oh, what? I should read. What's it called?
Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
And there's a couple other books, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying and everything, but I would copy stuff that I saw he was doing. I'm like, oh, well, if a successful person is doing this,
Right.
for instance, waking up early. I know so many successful people I look up to do that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing that.
Right. It's this concrete thing you can try.
Yeah, it's this like mimicking thing also. And that's what I loved from here. You're like, okay, how are they giving feedback? Can I just, I'll just practice saying it like they do.
Yeah. Or it's even like, you don't even need to say it like they do, because sometimes, and look, this all depends on if you have to give yourself a minute to be like, do I respect my boss? And I've been lucky. I've had amazing bosses I respect and I want to be more like and can learn things from all of them. And I think it was more approach as opposed to then, okay, I'm going to exactly say it. Because I did for a while just be like, oh, I'll just mimic exactly that. Like, I'll basically take dictation. But then it was more like, oh yeah, let's look at the psychology of the approach. Let's look at when they admit they're wrong on something. How do they do that? How do they do that elegantly? But it really helped. It really, really helped. And I think that so many people don't do it because they're like, well, what's the point of writing a bunch of notes no one's going to see? Or, and, you know, deciding these things, you're not going to be asked your opinion as an assistant. But it is one of the easiest ways to sort of practice.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, look, everything is a practice, right? Whether it's meditation, it's exercise, it's acting, and it's your job in an office, right? Like, you are performing a practice every day, and the way to get good at it or to get more comfortable in it is to just to do it and really be mindful about how you do it.
Yes. Mindful. That's a key word. Mindful. I love that.
Yeah, and I think my least successful days in the office are the days where I don't get 2 seconds to think. I'll purposefully not answer an email I think deserves a real response, like a very thoughtful response. I'd rather risk waiting 24 hours and annoying that person and then just apologizing and saying, here's why I wanted to take a minute to write back. Because the times when I just like fire off a response or casually say something on the phone, inevitably those are the times where later that day I'm like, I think I sounded a little too casual about that feedback and that was probably hard for that person to hear. Or, oh shit, I think I shouldn't have said that that's a piece of that project and revealed that. Like, it's where I get sloppy is when I'm not mindful.
Yes. How do you get mindful?
So I'm really uneven about it, but I do Transcendental Meditation. I took the course. Awesome. This is like, the David Lynch supported class. And basically it's 22 minutes really with rest in the morning, right when you wake up. And then 22 minutes later, some point in the afternoon or early evening, not too close to bed. Worst case scenario, if you don't get that second one in, you can meditate as you're falling asleep and it just kind of sends you off. But it's great. As you get better at it, it becomes like self-hypnosis. I sometimes, this is so trippy to say, but it feels a little like time travel, because what I used to do is I would kind of eventually just start to think of a place from my past, like my grandparents' house in New Jersey, very specifically. And as I was repeating my mantra, which you never say out loud, you just say in your mind, I would just kind of walk through the space and like see every detail I could remember. And there's something about that like level of specific focus that once you come out of it, it's crazy. Like, I'll suddenly be like, I know how to handle this, or I'm not scared to get that note, or oh right, we should just call that person. Like, the clarity that comes out of focusing on this very weirdly specific thing really helps me. So that is one mindfulness practice. The other stuff is things I've learned through like spiritual therapy or like cognitive behavior, which is things like how you sit affect how mindful you're being. Getting up and standing and walking. If I start to get really anxious or panicked of like, oh shit, I fucked this up so much. Okay. I'm like, wait, just breathe, sit up, stand, go take a walk for 2 seconds, come back. Like, there's nothing good that's going to happen if you like hyperventilating at your desk. So those are the little things that I can do.
Those little things are big things that have huge, huge impact on people's lives.
I feel the difference on a day I'll do TM and a day I won't, in a real way.
My run also consists of me meditating and praying on top of the mountain off to the side.
Amazing.
And that little space I sit in every single time is where I go to, is like my happy place.
So even if you're not physically there, you can kind of access that.
I can access because I know exactly what rock I sit on, what plants are next to me. There's like this little, I have no clue what it is. It's like, it smells great. It's a little herb that grows right next to there. It grows all over the place, but it smells so good. And I know that feeling because whenever I do sit there, I'm meditating and I come out of it, everything's so much more real.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah, and I can get subtle details I'm picking up on.
Yep. Yeah,
it's great. It's great. Meditation, I highly recommend. I think it's a great, great course.
I also, I really love Calm. If we're just giving out advice, the Calm app has some delightful sleep stories. Ooh. One is called The Shipping Forecast, and it's just a dude from BBC who reads you the shipping forecast, i.e. weather trends on the waters outside of Iceland in a very calming way, which is apparently like how everyone in England falls asleep. If you're like up at midnight, this thing comes on and puts you to sleep. But it's because I think I used to listen to a lot of like Disney books on tape as a kid.
Yeah.
And at night, where it was like Tinkerbell would make a sound and you'd know to turn the page. And it was just so calming. I think it just like, that's another thing that gets me mindful is just, it's that artist way stuff of like re-accessing something you felt as a kid before fear and anxiety really came in big time.
Alison, you are such a special human being. I'm being serious. You're so
Thank
awesome.
you. Right back at you.
Yeah.
Oh, the shipping forecast
whoa.
on BBC.
Dude, I love this thing. I love having the TV right here where I can point. I get excited for the most ridiculous things.
Listen, but can you imagine it's just like 5-4 out of Dogger, coming into the 40s, winds from the northeast, coming into Fair Isle. It's like that, it's so relaxed.
I can't really hear it. Is it playing?
I can't hear anything.
It's too dangerous, we'll fall right asleep.
Yeah.
We'll all fall asleep with our headphones on right here.
But there it is.
Oh,
There it is.
Wesam's World. Do you have a theme song yet?
What you heard in the beginning.
But not like with lyrics about who you are and like what your deal is.
No, that's
Give me
not
a
the
minute.
direction we
I want like the 80s opening credit sequence of like, he's just a guy. I'll do it. Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
maybe-
right now. I
No.
mean, I need
Okay,
time
all
to
right.
create.
You know what? Maybe one of our fans, maybe they'll make a mix.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Alison, thank you so much for making time, for coming on the show.
So fun.
It's
Thank
such
you for having me.
a pleasure to work with you. I hope we get a season 3, so
me
we
too.
can work together some more.
Let's plug the show. It's coming back March 7th, baby. TGIT. Hashtag TGIT. ABC. For the people.
Shonday.
10 o'clock.
It's gonna be great.
I mean, everyone I know who watches it absolutely fucking loves it.
Yeah,
And I just hope it continues to grow its audience and keep finding fans.
I think it will.
You guys
I
are
think it
doing
will.
absolutely gangbusters. Great work on it.
Thank you, Alison. If you have a Twitter or Instagram you'd like people to follow you at,
Just at Alison Eakle. I keep my Instagram private. I don't post a lot anyway. You're not missing anything. But the Twitter is at Alison Eakle, just my name, all one word. And there's a fair amount of retweeting, but only the best. I only retweet the best.
did I ever meet your husband? I know this.
Probably like at a rap party or something. TJ.
I feel like I was supposed to hang out with him, or maybe that's Betsy Beer's husband.
That was
Oh,
Betsy
Bruce.
Beers' husband because you two were supposed to go archery or,
Archery. That's
Oh,
right.
it's not my husband.
That's
not
right.
archer.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you guys have a lot in common on the Red Dead Redemption 2 losing your mind in that world front.
Too many hours. Can I tell? I'm embarrassed to say how many hours I
He
spent.
couldn't find the counter. At the end of the day, he couldn't find like the thing that really does account for how much time you've spent there.
I did the counter for Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
70 hours?
Over 100. I'm embarrassed to say that's so much time.
Time well spent though. You had a creative odyssey.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Allison, thanks
you.
again, and let's start the rap music.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the show. Special thanks to Adobe Radio, to Nice Guy Digital, and to you, the fans, for supporting the show, the new reviews, the new follows on our social media stuff, for Allison for coming in.
Just love it.
Just love it. Hey,
Anytime.
Peyton, thanks for being an awesome video producer. Welcome to the team.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Michael, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as
He
well.
knows all
Wesam.
those congressmen who donated. Just knows them.
He just knows him.
Pulls it up.
He's so smart. Guys, that's it. We're done. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. You can watch these episodes as well if you're listening on the iTunes or the Spotify. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk.